Gentlemen, I'd like to call everyone's attention to the March 17, 2022 meeting of the Economic Development Authority of the City of Lynchburg. We are now in session. I'll go through the roll call. Mark Stroessner is present. John Stone?
Here.
Pat Mosby?
Here.
George Ann Sneed is not here. Kim Sorensen?
Here.
William Lovren is not here. Richard Tugman?
Here.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the February meeting. Hope everyone's had a chance to review those. And does anyone have any additions, corrections, clarifications to make? And if none, would someone please make a motion to accept those minutes?
Make that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Kim. All those in favor, Mark Stroessner, yes. John Stone?
Yes.
Pat Mosby?
Yes.
All right, minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, Ms. Upshur, is the Conference Center Feasibility Study.
Yes. So in your packet was an overview of the project. So as the Office of Economic Development and Tourism, one of the big things that we feel like has probably not been done is to look at the assets that we need in this market, or try to at least determine what those are to help us grow, visitors in the area, right? So the tourism function, and I think this has been true across the board, whether it's at the state level or in many tourism areas, they look outside and bring meetings and conferences and try to bring sporting events and different things to a community. But the community has got to have the resources and the assets and the placemaking and all of that. This falls right in with our, blueprint reset, which just says that we are trying to keep, existing businesses here and decide on destination assets. So we have a unique opportunity with the fact that River Ridge is really kind of reinventing itself. And in order to be a town center that is successful, you really need to look at a model that's got an entertainment component. It's the same way downtown will be successful, meaning you've got to have something that draws people, and just retail alone is that's not gonna be it. It's gonna be, dining or some kind of entertainment component. So they have some really exciting plans for where the old Macy's was, and kind of a town square, and that's, on the other side of town, but very close to, the economic driver that Liberty is. And so we felt like we had a meeting, the city manager and I, with Craig Pettit at River Ridge, and Ann and I have spent a lot of time talking about what are those, types of assets that we need to have, right? Like, we don't have a lot of conference center space. We have event space, but conference center is something different. So the Kirkley has kind of come offline in terms of that's in a hybrid mode of switching to senior living. The Holiday Inn has some space there, but that is another property that, is doing renovations and has a lot of things going on with that. So we just felt like now would be, and Winter has a lot of experience in this area, so we wanted to take the opportunity as the tourism and economic development side to do a proposal to see whether or not the city and this region could sustain a conference center. And what does that need to look like? And you notice I didn't say convention center. There are many cities right now that are living with a convention center that's huge, and there's wind whistling through it. So I think we all thought that. I think back in the day, tourism thought that had to be part of what you did. I think something smaller and multi-purpose will be probably where we land. But this group has done an awful lot of work all over the country. And we received 3 bids on this, and this will be the funding for this is going to be out of the marketing, I have it so much in my head. Marketing and business development, the red checks and the blue checks is what Melissa drills in your head. And that's money that's, come over from the city at times for different things. But anyway, we wanted to bring that forward, to you all, because I really do think, the city may not build the conference center, but if we want to attract developers here, we want to, look at what can happen, then we need to lay the groundwork first.
I have a question. So the difference, to be clear that I understand this correctly, between conference and convention is the size and the flexibility?
Yeah.
Okay, so-
I think you've seen what a civic, convention center is. We don't have the hotel rooms necessarily to sustain. I really hope people in Lynchburg get this, right? It's kind of like you expect me to attract a lot of businesses here when there's not a lot of land left, and when you have to build up like a mountain goat on the side of it sometimes amazes me. I want to go, do you ever drive around in your car and look at where this might occur? So a conference center is going to be something that is much more flexible in what it might be able to be used for sports. It could be used for meeting space. It could be a multi-purpose type of thing. So I think back in probably, I don't know how long it's been now, but Chancellor Farwell looked at a civic center, a convention center type of thing out there, probably near the property where the emergency services and some of that land out there at one point in time, right? And he moved forward with looking at, a study for that, and then just kind of abandoned it. But I really do believe that these types of things, when we look at from an economic development standpoint, I've gotten 2 master plans that look at the land and say, what can be built there? How much is it going to cost to build it there? What needs to be done to prep it? That's what we need to do in order to attract people to come and want to either build it or partner with us. And we need the assets, because, there's a lot of change going on out there in the marketplace when it comes to hotels and rooms, and, people changing those over to senior living or to apartments or different things, depending on where the owner of that particular property, how they want to approach that. So we do have a robust, with friends, family, the businesses here, the anchors here really drive the visitors that come to Lynchburg, and we want to make sure that we continue to have that, but we believe there's room for growth. But that growth it's not going to happen without asset development.
Thank you. I like the idea. I had a few questions having read the proposal. I was surprised that there was such an emphasis on the mall immediately. The scope of the document seemed to be a sort of macro scope, and yet very micro in terms of we're jumping to a conclusion, in my mind, that this had to be up around Liberty. And I was just wondering, what was the decision-making process?
Well, it's really, what we did was, initially, it was going to be, we looked at it, and they were the only ones that had any idea that something, that had a space, or that something was going to go. And they had actually talked to us probably about 2 or 3 years ago about that being something they wanted to consider, and we tried to hook them up with somebody that might help them walk, down that road. So what we're really doing is, that is the place where it could happen, the quickest, and it's there and available to look around it to see whether or not, another hotel could go in there and that type of thing. They have the property, they could do that. But this group is going to look they're gonna look at the city, as a whole. But it's not I don't own any property where this could be, right? We've had discussions with Liberty, so they'll certainly look, and that's where the nexus of all our hotels are, right? There's nowhere downtown to put a convention center, and you don't necessarily.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like this is jumping to a conclusion.
okay.
And I agree with you, the concept, I just felt like this goes straight to a solution rather than taking me through a process to reach that conclusion. And
Right.
I'd like to think that there are other opportunities. I don't know that. The other thing I would also ask is, my understanding is that Liberty has some sort of a conference centre in the old, what was it? Was it Circuit City or something or other? Some sort of retail space up there. And that's not obviously, what is that just to them? Is that
Yeah,
up to
well,
everybody?
I think that's a different animal, and I think this would be much more for, public use and a revenue driver than something that is physically located on there. Not that I don't think they do put their, facilities out for people to use, but I don't think it's widely done that way. This would be much more something that we, could be part of the tourism, product that's out there to be able to be used.
Now that tourism is under our office, what type of opportunities are we missing out on that this could help fill that gap in? I mean, are we getting requests from larger groups that we just can't accommodate?
No, I mean, we go out, Andrew goes out, and Lisa had gone out before to solicit meetings and conferences. But we can't host a meeting or a conference that is more than about 300?
250.
250. And you can't do it well at 250.
And hotel space.
Right? If you do it downtown, you've got to split them up between the Holiday Inn, the Virginian, and the Craddock Terry, and then you've got to have, you got to have the meeting space there. So it's always good. You don't want to get involved in, like I said, there are many a city that owns a convention center right now that they cannot keep full at all, right? And so the city is not looking, necessarily, I mean, they may participate in some way, but they're not looking to, they're not going to own the facility. We're just looking to see whether a conference center would be a sustainable thing, right? And
in that context, Margette, maybe picking up on a theme that Mark brought up, I think one thing that didn't jump out at me in this proposal was is there a niche here? I mean, I was struggling in this, and whether or not this was indeed part of the remit. Maybe it's not, but it seemed to be absent in this proposal. Was there an opportunity to maybe look at what we have specifically that would be attractive, rather than just basically a building, build it and they will come type of thing? Is there something more that we could achieve with this exercise that would be a bit more around what we bring as a community? Is there something?
yes,
I don't know
I think that what they have to look at in order to give us this information does some of that. That's why I felt like it was more our lane to look at. It's not necessarily my lane to build the conference center. What it is, though, is all the information that you're collecting, in order to see whether that would be something that we could, that we could sustain. We, meaning the community, could sustain, right? Because right now it's chicken or the egg. I mean, we can only attract so many meetings and conferences here. We can only attract so many sporting events outside of what Liberty already does, right? Because we have hotels that some of them don't take sporting business.
I was going to add that, and I get all of that, it just seems to me again that they talk about conference and meetings market analysis. On page 3, they talk about identifying gaps in the market and discerning whether a new conference centre fills these gaps. That's one thing, but it's different from what I was saying.
Okay.
It's more around the niche. Is there a niche for that? I mean, you can do the market analysis all day long and the hotel room and the rest of it. But to me, it wasn't going to the fundamental need in the community. And it's a bit of a bugbear of mine because we do a lot of consulting agreements. And if you're not a bit more specific, you'll get exactly what's here.
Right,
You may have missed an
exactly.
opportunity, and then you're basically
No, I
out of luck.
appreciate it, yeah.
And then last point I had was around, and maybe it's too much in the weeds, is the cost compared to the resources to basically do this. I mean, they give you a budget, but they don't tell you how many people are involved in it, how many hours. So you really have no way of knowing, is this good value or not?
Right.
I have no way of knowing if this is, was it 45,000, whatever the number was? Is that value or not? It could be one person, it's going to take them 10 minutes.
Right.
Which is probably, we're
Right.
overpaying.
Exactly.
Or is it basically 5 people that can, to me, there was an absence of detail around that. So being good custodians, good fiduciaries, I don't think we can say, is this good value?
Right.
I'm sure they're very good at what they do, but not sure on the cost.
Well, to follow up on that, it was sort of open-ended when they said, when they come, it would be $1,500 per person, but you don't know how many people. Don't have-
Yeah, and we can, and there was, and, you know, and I apologize, we've gone back and forth on this, and we've also, you know, like I said, we got other proposals, and they were all, you know, in line with this when we did it, and Winter is familiar with this group, has used them in Norfolk, and there was a, you know, a bigger document, we've just pulled, you know, the proposal piece of it, so we'll go back and get some things refined on that, and put the bigger document in the Dropbox.
And when you had your meeting with Craig, do they want this to be a collaborative effort, or were they just?
No,
with Liberty?
yeah. I just feel like it's, what?
Is it something they could use too, or do they feel
No,
like
of
they
course
have
they
their?
could use it, right? It would tell them whether or not they wanted to proceed with something like that.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Thank you, though.
I just had, not a question, but I was looking at, like, under the task where they were talking about recommendations, and they're talking about breakout rooms and ballrooms and special event spaces, I guess like amenities, so it almost sounds like a hotel more so than what I want to say, a conference center, because usually a conference center, I guess it's basically that. I don't recall a conference center having like breakout rooms, because that's the purpose of the conference center is, you know, everyone's there pretty much together. Now, they may have like breakout sessions, but when I see breakout meeting rooms or something like that, I'm thinking along the lines of a hotel. So I don't know if that's something that, you know, we really want to have there. Again, looking at other locations, and like Richard mentioned about Liberty, I'm thinking, was that the only spot that they were considering? So I'd just like to know other locations, you know, other sites or something. Would it be something that we would be able to go take a look at, or?
Well, that would be determined once the report's done. That's part of the report, right? I mean, that would be part of the proposals, to look at the city as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I still am hung up with the 250 rooms in the hotel. So if this report comes back, will it also determine if we do have enough hotel space to accommodate a larger conference center, and recommend, if needed, additional hotels?
It's not going to recommend, it would say you need more hotel rooms.
It will do a
I'll say.
market analysis
Okay.
to say what
If
is
we-
market
yeah.
there and what the potential is, and what
Okay.
that gap may be.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
What was the question?
How many hotel rooms we have?
It's like 1,100.
Yeah, I thought I was getting ready
In
to
the
say
city.
15.
So the airport, those don't count.
I am not sure if it includes those right there close by.
Well, because you're Campbell County,
It's
right?
Campbell County.
I'll say anecdotally, we use the Virginian a lot for meeting space, but it's not infrequent that they're booked up and you
Yeah.
can't get in there.
Well, we just don't have, I mean, we haven't had, you know, you can't go out and secure business when you don't have the asset to look at, and you don't want to get involved in, you want to be able to give whoever the developer ends up being, you know, because it probably would involve a hotel, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. That's not what we're, you know, we certainly would give them the information that they need to say this market could support that. Right, because there's already the Residence Inn out there, there's the Wood Spring Suites is going up out there. Those are very different types of hotels. Those are extended stay. And so trying to find the niche there, like Richard says, is, you know, is there meetings and conferences that we could attract here that would help drive revenue? I know it's never going to be, you know, we're not, and we don't have an attraction other than D-Day or Poplar Forest, but we are in Central Virginia, and, you know, there might be a sweet spot there, but you've got to have a gathering space for people to, you know, to hold their meeting or their conference in the places. It doesn't have to be, you know, in a hotel. It can be, as many of you have gone to a conference, you go to the Civic Center, spend all day there, and then you go back to your hotel. And in bigger cities, at times they're connected, right? But a lot of times we're talking about a much smaller, you know, situation there. So the Virginian might miss out on a whole book of business because somebody can't get a big enough room to hold their other meeting or event in, you know. So it's really holistically to look at things that I don't believe that the city tourism for all the years it's been here has looked at. So that overarching thing you can look at.
I'm very supportive of this reservation about jumping to conclusion of a location. And frankly, I find, and this is a personal comment, that whole area is soulless. I mean, it's just, you know, seriously. I mean, and then we're trying to do things downtown. I want to fly into Lynchburg Airport to go to basically the mall. I know they're building a big aquarium or whatever they're doing. I mean, they're making it more of an attraction, but it just...
Yeah, they've got an unbelievable plan, though, that I need to show you all that for that other end, right? And it's just, you know, another end of town where a tremendous amount of activity, you know, goes on. And, you know, Liberty is on the sporting side of it, they have state-of-the-art facilities, and that's where we get an awful lot of interest, is people to come in and hold sporting events there. You know, use those facilities, and so that's a win-win for, you know, from a revenue-driving perspective.
Well, I think also the market analysis, once it's a little bit more detailed, will be a great tool to attract additional hotel
Yeah,
entities.
they just have to have a
So
place
it's
to
a marketing
land.
tool on its own.
Yep, that's the issue.
Yeah, and you saw it, there's a new one going up in Campbell County.
Where's that?
Right there next to the True.
Is it another one of those budget hotels, presumably?
Might be a little bit higher up, but it's in the same family, the
Okay.
origin. Yeah, it's space. It's available space.
And obviously, they're not shutting any of them down, so.
Don't bet on
The nights per se.
Is there one downtown here, just near the Y, down on the... Below the Y.
it. Yeah, that's gonna be condominiums,
Oh, is it? Okay, sorry.
travel lodge. So that comes off the books.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on that could take some of the, quite a few rooms off the books.
Anyone else have any other question? All right.
Next item is the 2022 Communications Plan. Ms. Benson?
Good morning. Phil, I'm going to use this guy up here. All right, good morning, everybody. You all received an update on the brand a couple months ago, and we have put together a marketing, sales, and communications plan for 2022 that I just wanted to briefly take you through, just to let you know kind of what we're up to and how the brand implementation is going and what our plan is for that. So just a quick refresh on the brand. LYH loves you. It's one voice united under LYH, so our tourism and economic development communications are under this brand. And our target markets, again, are residents, businesses, talent, and visitors, of course. So our goals with this, and again, this was, I think, part of the brand presentation as well, is to build community pride among our residents, to drive spending in local businesses and attractions, to position LYH as a destination for visitors and talent, to create and deliver consumable and engaging content, and position the city as a resource for economic development, both for local businesses and decision makers that may be thinking about making a move. So we've organized our communications around these tactics, and there's a slide for each of these. I'm probably not going to go into all the detail for each of them, but I just want you to see sort of how comprehensive this plan is. So, and I'm not going to go through this slide. I'll take you through each one. So internal and stakeholder communication, this is really the effort to communicate with the business community, communicate with our attraction hotel stakeholders. It's our business visitation program, city communications, working closely with the city's communications and public engagement office to make sure that our messages are cohesive out to the residents. Stakeholder education, where we'll be hosting a quarterly series of programs for stakeholders, businesses, restaurants, hotels, attractions. Our next one will be April 28th, and we will go over that. We're going to kind of publish this plan and really help tell everybody what we're doing, and also our communications and reporting to you all and to city leadership. Digital marketing. This is probably this is a very high level. There's lots of detail in each of these areas, but things like the digital kiosks that were purchased with CARES funding that have arrived, everyone. So we're really excited about that. And only 18 months later, waiting on computer chips. Those are going to be installed in the next couple weeks. And again, a reminder, those locations are Randolph College, University of Lynchburg, Centra, Lynchburg General Hospital, the community market, Percival's Island, Old City Cemetery are our first locations for those. Obviously, this is our websites, keeping those up. Virginia.org, we have a responsibility, and also VEDP to updating those sites. Video production, I'm going to show you at the end of this one quick thing that we've done recently. Google, making sure all the things are correct, and also using Google to drive campaign traffic. For example, we did a digital campaign around commencement last year, and we'll do that again this year, where if you're Lynchburg graduation or Liberty graduation, and so we can target keywords to drive traffic to what is there to do in Lynchburg, staying in Lynchburg, spending time in Lynchburg. So using the digital platforms that way. Social media, web advertising, and our stakeholder newsletter. Print marketing, still a strong driver of, still a strong tactic. You're going to see billboards. I'm going to show you an example of one. We have 4 going up in the next week or so. We have also just done a contract with GLTC, so you're going to see buses and bus backs with the LYH Loves You campaign, and also particularly promoting the jobs portal with GLTC. Print advertising, I'll show you some examples of these that we've done recently. Our partner publications, these are things like we're going to be in the University of Lynchburg Alumni Magazine this year for the first time, which is pretty exciting. Partnerships with Liberty on that, and we're really working to try to make sure that we are in all of our partner publications. Brochures, our visitor guide. We're going to do an outreach effort this year to all of the businesses licensed in the city, probably a postcard or a sticker combo thing, so that people really get this campaign and it's delivered directly to their doors. So that's exciting. We'll probably do that later this summer, fall. Placemaking, this is, again, along with print advertising locally, this is really where we want this brand to be seen in the community. As you guys remember from the brand campaign, residents and really starting from the inside out is the goal of this marketing, at least the first 3 years of this marketing plan. So making sure that you see this locally. So Airport and Amtrak are going to have new brands, stickers, promo items, things out in the community. We are working really hard to get new banners up at locations all over the city. We'll likely start with John Lynch Bridge, Langern Road, Windhurst, the airport, and downtown. So pole banners, right? That really welcoming, bright welcome to the city. Gateways and wayfinding, public art. We want to use this logo as murals in locations around the city, and partnership with the museum, really walking tours, events, engagement, and using this brand that way. Public relations and media, this really speaks for itself, I think. We have a group of content developers that we work with who write blogs. This is working with local media to make sure the campaign is covered and things, and that we have those strong relationships with travel writers and local media. Sales marketing, so this is really Andrew on our team, and the sports market, the group tour market, and the meetings market we've just talked a lot about this morning. We have incentives associated with those markets for events rights holders and organizers that want to book in the city. But we also do a number of communications efforts around those particular markets. That's digital advertising, print advertising, and then also, physically being at trade shows or at events where we can sell those things. That special events is under us as well. So these are, events that are happening in the city that are driving revenue. We really want to make sure that we've identified those events that have the ability to grow, have the ability to make Lynchburg, a unique destination, and also, really engage the community. So we have sponsorships around these things, and we also have sort of physical presence at the events and with the events from a marketing perspective. So real quickly, I'll take you through. The communications plan is nothing if we're not measuring it. So there's some sort of, tactical, transactional measurements, things like how many people come to our website, how many people are following us on social media, how long they're spending on the website, newsletter open and click rates. But we also know that while we can't take credit for larger economic things, we hope that this campaign and our communications around it are also pushing the needle on things like economic impact and visitation and revenue to the city. So again, I'll stay really high level with these, and we'll be reporting back to you on some of these metrics as we really get into this campaign. And this is, kind of building on this baseline of success. So we've organized these into a couple buckets. One is, are we communicating effectively? Again, these are a lot of digital metrics that we are able to track. We're already seeing really great return on these. Are we reaching our audiences? Are people engaged? Are they coming to events? Are they visiting the museum? Are they opening our things? Are we driving revenue? This is your classic, meals, sales, lodging, amusement tax, the occupancy rate for the city, Airbnb revenue, which is something that now that Airbnb operators are remitting lodging tax as of July last year, we were able to track that metric as well. So we don't have that one up here yet, but we will. And we're already seeing, I do have the first 2 quarters of Airbnb revenue, and we're seeing an increase in growth in that. So that'll be fun to watch. Visitor expenditures, direct and indirect, and jobs supported by tourism. These are metrics that Virginia Tourism Corporation publishes annually. So we always watch those, but we'll keep that as part of this key metric as well. Are we growing? This is really sort of your higher order economic data, things that we are watching that we hope our work is influencing. Obviously, again, we don't control everything about these metrics, but we do hope that, our work is increasing population, is, median household income, average wage, the poverty rate, the labor participation rate. These are more economic development metrics that we watch on a regular basis. And then there's sort of the intangible when it comes to a communications plan, things that we may not be able to track a click, right, for, but that are really key achievements. I'll do a couple of these, just kind of pull out. We A letter from the mayor and a sticker to all newly admitted University of Lynchburg students is going out, and so we're going to kind of use that to help all the other, to work with the other colleges and universities to see if we can do something similar. We've done banners at all of the high school gyms. That was something that came in from a corporate partner whose daughter was playing on the JF basketball team, and he's like, "Hey, do you guys want to do a Lynchburg? I love this campaign. Do you want to be in the, in the gym?" We were like, "Yes." And so then we went to EC Glass and Heritage and did the same thing. We participated in events. I believe we sent you all the spread that was in the November, December Virginia Living. That was something where we hosted the writer, we hosted the photographer, and we hooked them up with all those businesses that were featured. Andrew has attended a number of trade shows and familiarization tours over the past couple months, the American Bus Association, the Southeast Tourism Society. We were in a Virginia Business article in February, and we've also placed some blogs and other things as well. So these are sort of the intangibles that don't show up in the metrics exactly. Here's a billboard that will be, I believe this is going to be Candler's Mountain Road. So we've done Wards Road, Candler's, and gateway into the city at sort of the top of John Lynch Bridge and 5th Street. We'll have 4 billboards going up. Obviously this, and you've seen some of this before, but this is a social campaign. On the left is our Virginia Travel Guide advertisement. On the right is a Garden Day for 2022 advertisement. So just some samples of print marketing that are happening. Virginia Living on the left, the Academy program on the right. And then please, just a reminder that if you are on social media and you are not following us, please do so immediately. You're gonna miss some great content if you don't. And so Instagram is at Lynchburg VA and Facebook is at Visit Lynchburg VA. And I wanted to show you all a short video that we just did. So with all of our brand ambassadors, we are doing photography and videography to create, obviously all of these materials, but also some social media videos that we're running. So you've seen most of our initial brand ambassadors. Our next round that we're working on right now are Danny Givens, Nick George with The Listening, and Stephanie Fees with Scratch Pasta. So we're working through those, but this is one we just did with Carol Moon and CloudFit. Short, sweet. These are 15-second social media videos, but they've been really successful. We've gotten great feedback on those so far. So that's it. Happy to answer any questions. Want to just keep you all updated on where this is going and how it's rolling out. It was a significant it is still a significant financial and time investment from staff. So we are committed, and we're in a sprint mode at this point to really see this in the community. And get this out on the street.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sessions via UTM, I'm not familiar.
Yes, and I will probably butcher the acronym there, but UTM is essentially a unique tracking metric. So when we do a digital advertising, so if we put a web banner out on the web, we will create a unique URL that will tell us that, okay, this ad placed on virginia.org when they click through it, we know where it came from. So that's what sessions tracked via UTM would be. How many clicks are we receiving from those specifically placed unique URLs?
That's great. Thanks very much.
The LRBA podcast, was it just talking about the campaign?
Talking about the campaign, yes. So I did an interview with Jamie for their podcast, and just talking about the Blueprint for Opportunity, how we came about this, how we did the campaign and the community engagement around it, and then what the campaign is all about. I encourage you to take a listen. The links are embedded in the document in your packet, so you should be able to click through.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the staff report.
Yeah, and you all can read this, I'll just hit the highlights, as I was talking about before everybody got here. Winter delivered his budget message on Tuesday, March the 8th. This week, he is having a series of public meetings he calls them Budget and Brews, and they were at 3 Roads on Tuesday and Diamond Hill Baptist Church last night, and tonight they'll be at Windhurst at the Muse. So it's really just a place for him to kind of give an overview of his thoughts in putting the budget together, and then answering questions. And, you know, if you can't answer them on the fly, they'll get the questions and, you know, they put them up on the website, but they'll get an answer to those questions. And they have been very interesting. I've been to both, and I'll go to the one tonight. Your audit is, I put it in the Dropbox. And as you know, Amy will be here next month at the for Finance Committee meeting to go over and answer any questions on the audit. The Ivy Creek and Wigington Road Master Plan, Carolyn, who you all have met before, who's come and presented to you from J. Aiden, she came earlier this week to just kind of give us an overview. We're working on multiple projects with her. And she's having some health issues, so we really appreciated her making the trip down here. But she's just given us some updates. They finished the traffic study on Wigington Road, and as you all know, the improvements to we had 3 sites that are associated with EDA-owned property, and there's a site A and B, and then a site C, and all 3 of those for some initial work were put into CIP. So that's the capital improvement program. That's, you know, the first time in 17 years since I've been here that any site development, when I talk to you all about asset development, when I talk to you about what people beat on me about all the time is when's the new business coming, why don't we have a conference center, why don't we have, all of these things, because the work and the cost, as Richard brought up in the last meeting, the cost to develop some of these sites is unbelievable. But if you don't get it out there and you don't look at it and put those, it doesn't get any less expensive, and you need to have inventory to be able to draw interest. So that was part of what went on there. And just to boil it down, and we'll have another meeting perhaps at the retreat when Carolyn can come talk about some of that. I will tell you it's it does get down into the weeds. We certainly looked at what all these things will cost. I mean, I think it's a bit to me what I was looking for I was delighted that she was able to find any sites and that were close to infrastructure, because Wigington Road is challenging. But what she did tell me was that from the recommendations of the summary on the traffic study was that Wigington Road was going to need improvements regardless, whether it's residential or something else. It's just those other 2 sites, I think, that are more in Jefferson Ridge Parkway or off behind Boxley. Getting access or getting a road around there, I think would yield a bigger footprint site or tenant than the site C up on Wigington Road.
Were there surprises, high or low, with the traffic count?
No.
Pretty much.
Wigington Road's pretty much a country road. And there's, and it's just been left like many things are to develop on its own. So you've got, you've got businesses, you've got, small business, you've got residential, you've got a mix of different types of things. And, somebody has purchased, as you all know, a huge tract of property there that's looking to develop that residentially. And I think traffic to the rest of the businesses and the residents there is going to be an issue. if you have to get it rezoned or any of that. But the main thing to me is, once again, making sure that when people are looking, and if they're looking at the city of Lynchburg, that with the property that we already own, which is critical, that we're doing the best we can to move that forward, right? And that it's understood that the EDA certainly can't do that lift on sites that need that much work. So it has to be, a joint effort up to a point. But at least, Megan has drawings and things that, she would be able to send out, and anybody else that was going to develop on Wingington Road, we've now got a resource, for them in the traffic study of what would need, and Public Works and everybody there. So we'll get into it, but what I gave you is probably the high points that you would be interested in. Alicia gave me an update on the jobs portal. She said that they're continuing to add new employers. She pretty much looks all the time to see if jobs are out there where that company hasn't gotten on, hasn't been part of our jobs portal, and she reaches out to them. It's one of our top visited web pages now, which is, what you're looking for to have happen. She's deployed posters to the major partner organizations, the public library and some of the community centers. So that, to me, is the big piece of it, is really trying to disseminate that information to people that could be potential employees and what kind of training they may need. She's working with employers, including the city, to advertise job fairs and hiring events and put that directly on our website. Centers will be going up next week. She'll also be sharing at the Juvenile Detention Center as part of their current workforce skills program. And so I just ask, on some of these things, they'll remain the same on your staff report. We'll just try to give you an update on where some of those things stand. The local redevelopment grant, the cutoff for that was the end of February. We'll go to work on that now too. That's money that's transferred over from the city now over to the EDA. That's what that marketing business pot of money is, money that's come from the city. It's not money, it's not your strategic initiatives money. And yeah, we'll go to work on that. It's anybody that's pulled a building permit and done over $25,000 worth of work, we make it as easy as possible. We identify all of them and send them the application. They just need to fill it out and get it back to us. We're still doing on-site vaccination clinics. If a business asks us or shows that they've got a need and they have enough people there, we will facilitate that. The FY23 budget, they're thinking they're going to reimagine Town and Gown, which is something the city did internally and didn't really involve a lot of us in the other departments. They're reimagining that. Winter was worked with a very successful initiative like that down in Norfolk with some of their colleges down there. So he has put an, he's trying to look at what they've done, what they did in Norfolk, and he's put in the FY23 budget a paid intern for us to work with the colleges and look at, how we do a better job of keeping students here and connecting them with jobs, within the city. And we have created, Anna went and put together a process, a flow chart on new and existing businesses and how they flow through, the different questions or things to look out for, so that when other entities, or whether it be LRBA, whether it be Downtown Lynchburg Association, when people land in their office first, they always think that that particular organization knows everything about how the city works. And really, they can do, there's very little they can do if you need a permit, or you're looking for incentives, or you're looking for different things like that. So Anna created a process that shows you, if you ask this question and the answer is this is where you go. Beg your pardon?
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, there you go. And LRBA is embarking on another strategic plan. Everybody's got to have one for the next 5 years, and I'm the co-chair of that effort with William Cook from Jamerson Lewis. And Anna's just given you an update on communications and just reiterating that. I mean, it's been amazing to me how little most all of us know about marketing and what makes that successful. You know, as a consumer, what you like and what you don't like, but what it takes to really market something, I mean, we have no idea, and it really takes a village to do all that. And so, you know, I have just said, you know, if you are on social media or anything to do with with this campaign, you know, please put it out into the universe. Don't act like you don't know what it is. We'll do whatever we can to make sure you do, but every little bit helps. You can ask Anna and them if I'm out there, which I'm out and about in all kinds of unusual places, and if I don't see a Lynchburg Loves You sticker somewhere, somebody's going to hear about it in the morning. Or if the stuff's not updated or the thing's not there, nope. So it is a huge deal. It is a huge lift for this team, but to make it stick. And we took this on because nobody else took it on, and we were left with we didn't have it for economic development, we didn't have it for tourism, we didn't have, that kind of push through there. Winter really gets that, and he will be embarking on more of a city brand, but all of that is noise out in the marketplace. And so people don't have any idea where to focus, and we didn't do this much work not for you to pay attention. So, I will do whatever it takes. So, Anna, did you want to talk about the Shoeless Wonders? Just a quick update.
So we had a meeting last week with our team and Sarah Elizabeth Timmons with Shoeless Wonders. We are as close as we have ever been to hitting go on that project, which is very exciting. I know you guys it has been a long road with fundraising, but then also COVID. And she really explained some of that and some of the reasons they made choices through COVID, particularly with the number of child actors that are going to be in this film. But they have secured a lead role actor who is a big name, and they are working on securing the 2 other adult roles. She has let us know that they will be filming this year. But they have not hit go yet. So they have to secure those last few acting roles. We will have about a 2-month window between go and filming to be hosting 150 crew for about 5 weeks in the city. So our team met, special events, permitting, sales, helping with lodging, helping with community engagement and promotion. They will do local casting calls, so there'll be opportunities for extras and for a lot of the kids' roles to be filled locally, which is pretty exciting. But it'll be a pretty tight time frame once they are able to really, and I think that's pretty typical, is that, when the stars all align and you can hit go, your speed to actually filming is pretty fast. So we're trying to just make sure we're prepared on the front end to have that happening in the city. So it is exciting. It is, again, as close as we have been to things coming together. And I think this is just also the nature of this very, very different economic development driver, in the film industry, which we're kind of getting. I think this will give us a lot of experience too. I think I reported last month that we hosted a site. We're involved with the Virginia Film Office. We're in touch with them. We provide them with locations when they do that outreach. So we're really building that relationship, and we actually hosted a location scout last month for an ABC pilot. So those are the things that they're happening in the state, and we're just trying to be on that radar screen to for Lynchburg to be a destination for filming, because it really does have not only the economic impact of of the physical filming. It's like building a building, right? All the construction costs, right? So all the people staying here, living here, spending their money here. But then the promotion of us being a location where people see and want to visit, that happens. So we're on it. So it's exciting. Any questions about that?
Great, John.
You should, yeah, exactly.
Better late than never.
Get ready for your close-up, everybody. And I think that was it. Just one quick note, and we'll make sure this is on everybody's calendars. If you want to attend, this might be a nice opportunity. We'll be hosting the Virginia Economic Developers Association statewide conference in September. I think it's like mid-September, the 21st or 22nd, something like that. And I'll be chairing that conference. So we're excited to have our colleagues from around the state in economic development here in Lynchburg for a couple days. At the Virginian.
At the Virginian.
But they will not all be able to stay at the Virginian. So again, it's a multi-site ability, which, is great. We can accommodate, it's about a 250 person conference. So it's right there in our sweet spot. That's it for me.
I think we all got the news about the Craddock Cherries big announcement
Yes, new flag.
as a part owner.
Congratulations.
Does anyone else have any questions for staff? Before we adjourn, just want to remind everyone the next meeting will be Thursday, the 21st of April. And immediately following the adjournment of this meeting, we will have an incentive committee meeting. Does anyone have anything else to bring up before the committee right now? Hearing nothing, we are adjourned.